What does it mean to live an extraordinary life? That's what I'm going to tell you because, first of all, you have to understand that you are meant to. Meant to live an extraordinary life because when you look at the definition of the word extraordinary, it means something extra, something beyond whatever was, and that's who you are. Every person is, every soul is. That's why we are born. And when you can go back to that old um, tale, that old analogy of, about the snowflakes, that there are no two that are exactly the same. That's true for you. That's true for all of us, but that's also the difficulty, you see, because now we have to find that authentic self within us, and that's our life journey. And that's the process of self-discovery, self-actualization, and ascension. And once you begin to accept that, then you start to live that extraordinary life. But you may have difficulty with that because you may not know how to get there. You don't know how to get to your authentic self. And you keep hearing this word about authenticity, and you wonder, well, what is that? It's about you accepting every aspect of you and why you were born and why you were born at a particular time and why you are extraordinary. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter how old you are or whatever you've done before in your life. Now is the time for you to live that extraordinary life. I'm saying that because it's really important for you to become all that you could be at this time in our world. I'll tell you a little interesting story. I just happened to see a little clip of a preview, an interview basically, with the actress Caitlin Olsen. She has a new show coming out. It's a comedy, I guess. It's called High Potential. Remember that potential? That's what we all have, and but are we always living it? But for her, it was a little different. And she was a single mother, and she got into the habit of solving crimes, solving things because she had this intuition that she could access. And there in the interview in this particular scene, they're calling it a gift. You have this gift. And she said, well, not always. It didn't feel that way to her all the time because she's always trying to figure everything out. And I'm laughing as I'm looking at that, listening to that, because that's been my life. I had to figure out everything. And so at 73, now I can say, oh, I can become my authentic self, and then I can live my extraordinary life, and then I can guide everyone else to do the same thing. Because I know that every person born has that within them. They just may not have accepted it. And you may not have accepted it because of how you've been programmed when you were born, where you were born, what you were taught. In It's just no accident of anything that's going on in our lives or in the universe because it's all aligned, because it's all energy. And you are a part of that energy. And you came into the world at a particular time to add to the evolvement of the world when you decide to own who you are and become your best, magnificent self. And all those things could sound so ridiculous until you understand that it's true because I've lived it. And I had to wait till today, though, because I went and I did an episode of Beyond Belief with George Noory because I needed to take this information to many more people. I wanted to go to a much larger audience, and I didn't know how that was going to happen. See, because I didn't go to Gaia to ask for this, they found me. When you start opening up to who you are meant to become, you will see things will come into your life that you don't completely understand. I didn't understand it because I'd also been hiding from myself, as you might have done, because the thing that we're supposed to do is always outside of us. And so we have to be willing to step into that scary unknown. And that unknown is always of who you are. And there's none of us here who are limited in any way other than in our thinking. When we come to understand that the most valuable thing that we own is our consciousness, but we have to recognize it's been formed by all those who came before. But there is an order in the universe, and when you tap into it, you heal. In the episode of Beyond Belief, I'll leave a link in this video so that you can watch it, because you can watch it for free and because I want everyone to see it. And I told more of my story with George, and I did a little bit of channeling there as well, because I was given this information of this transition that we were moving through in our world. And I also knew that it was going to be so focused on the United States. And last night there was a debate, a political debate, and here in the US. And so now I know that all the energies are going to come up in the world. So we need to become aware. But I knew that beforehand, which is why everything was aligned the way that it comes through. Now, there's a message that came through last year on this date in 2023, and it said, your history has never been more valuable. I thought that's got to be accidental. But if you go to anyadvicefortoday.com, I'll leave a link for that here too, because I'd love for you to read it because we think things are happening accidentally in our lives and they are not. It just takes us a while to understand it. And once you become aligned with that understanding within you, you start to do all kinds of amazing things. You start to heal. You start to understand yourself. You start to become happy. You let go of all the old stuff. That's the process of coming to a higher state of consciousness or evolving or moving to that fifth dimension as people think of it. But I know that anyone can do it because it's an elevation of consciousness. The more of us who do that, then we have a very different life experience, but we're also contributing to a very different world that we're all manifesting. Because nobody is doing it but us. We're the ones who are doing it. And so in the interview, you'll also hear me tell George how in 2016, I sat down and I wrote this article about being racist and a misogynist because I discovered that was in me somewhere. And I knew that you can't heal and get to the highest state of understanding of who you are unless you decide to move through those limiting beliefs and ideas. That's for all of us. That's for our humankind. We're always moving to that place. And when you hear the idea about moving to oneness, that's what that means. Because at some point we start to understand that all people are souls and have the ability to create something wonderful if they can own who they are. But then over civilizations, we keep moving to that place. And then there are certain people who will come into the world and decide they're going to live a life where they can bring in new information and awareness to move to that higher state of understanding. And I guess I was one of those people. I say that because there was something that I wasn't going to accept. And so I want you to understand it doesn't matter because you've had things that came up in your life that you weren't ready to accept about yourself. That's okay. There'll be a time, and it's aligned with the universe again, where it'll be perfect for you to take that jump and start to live your extraordinary life. And I say this to everyone all the time because I know that it's true. The only reason you struggle is because you're unwilling to take that step into becoming your authentic self and having all the riches and happiness and joy that you could have. Yes, it does require moving through all the other stuff that was in your life, which is what I had to do. But that also gave me the ability to create something that other people have an easier time. And that's what I've done. And I know that people, because it's already happening, you'll hear some of it in the interview. People who have done this work are doing great things and they'll pass that on to others. That's how this works. But sometimes because mine was so different, could have been the same for you, that uniqueness that you couldn't accept. I couldn't do that either because I'm not doing anything like my family, my friends, or any of that. But except when I finally broke through and got on that show and now it's going out to the world, I said, well, I've got to own who I am. So do you, because your contribution to the world is valuable and it's needed now because it's an energetic contribution. And the wonderful thing is, when you start making it, you become happy. You become abundant. You allow everything to come to you. Now, I can't convince you of that because that'll be a choice that you have to make. But if that's what you want, then you want to come into my program. Now, I'm saying this because I am going to be changing so much. When you look at the program, it just says 31, I think, lessons or something like that. That's not it. It's going to be 90. It's going to be, and you own it forever. You have it for the rest of your life. And one of our members last night had started going back through it again and talking about how incredibly amazing it was to go through the assignments again and see how much they've changed and evolved. That's what we all do if we become willing. And I'm saying this, you are supposed to live an extraordinary life. And the only reason you haven't done it yet is because you haven't discovered who you were, you haven't discovered your authentic self, or you haven't had a way to do that. But I have the way now. So you have a way as well. So please watch the episode. I know you're going to love it. You'll get a lot of information of it. It's only a part of my story. There's so much more, and that will be in my full book and hopefully a documentary at some point because um, I want you to know that nothing is impossible because you'll hear in there, I've done some impossible things. You can as well. All right. See you guys soon.